On a scorching summer afternoon, a weary fox wandered through the dry countryside, his tongue hanging from his mouth and his throat parched from thirst. The once bubbling streams had turned to dust, and the sun glared down mercilessly from a cloudless sky. The grass was brittle, the trees offered little shade, and the wind carried only heat. The fox, who had searched for hours, was beginning to grow desperate. Every breath he took felt hot and dry, and he knew he wouldn't last much longer without water. Just when he was about to give up hope, he stumbled upon an old stone well at the edge of a field. It looked ancient, overgrown with weeds, and partly hidden behind tall grass. Peering over the edge, the fox saw a pool of water glistening at the bottom. Relief flooded his body. Without thinking, without planning, the fox leapt into the well. With a splash, he landed in the cool water and drank deeply. It was everything he had hoped for: clean, refreshing, and life-saving. But once he had quenched his thirst and begun to regain his strength, the fox looked around and realized his mistake. The stone walls were high, slick, and smooth. He tried to leap up, digging his claws into the sides, but each attempt ended with him slipping back into the water. The more he tried, the more exhausted he became. He was trapped. The fox sat at the bottom of the well, soaked and frustrated, and began to think. "There must be a way out," he muttered. "I just need a little help." As fate would have it, not long after, a goat happened to be passing by. He too was suffering under the heat of the sun, and his search for water had led him to the same forgotten well. When he looked down, he saw the fox inside and called out, "Hello there! What are you doing in that well? Is there water down there?" The fox, always clever and quick with his words, saw an opportunity. Putting on a cheerful tone, he called back, "Oh friend, yes indeed. The water is delicious, cooler and sweeter than any stream I've tasted all summer. I came down here for a drink and I feel better already. Why don't you come join me?" The goat, who was more thirsty than cautious, didn't pause to consider the situation. If the fox said the water was good, then it must be. Without hesitation, he jumped into the well, landing beside the fox with a splash. Immediately, he began to drink, not even asking how the fox had gotten down, or, more importantly, how they would both get back up. When the goat had drunk his fill, he looked up at the towering walls and blinked. "Wait a moment," he said slowly. "How are we supposed to get out of here?" The fox, who had been waiting for this moment, grinned slyly. "Ah, that's a good question," he said smoothly. "Here's an idea. If you stand with your front legs against the wall and brace yourself firmly, I can climb up onto your back and then use your horns to push myself over the top. Once I'm out, I'll pull you up after me. We'll both be free in no time." The goat, trusting and eager to escape, agreed. He positioned himself as the fox had instructed, leaning against the wall with his head held high. The fox wasted no time. In one swift movement, he jumped onto the goat's back, then to his shoulders, and finally leapt up, grabbing the edge of the well with his front paws. With a final push, he pulled himself out and stood once more on solid ground. The goat looked up eagerly. "You made it! Now, as you promised, help me out." But the fox looked down with a smirk and shook his head. "My dear goat," he said coolly, "if you had as much sense in your head as you have hair in your beard, you would have looked before you leapt." And with that, the fox trotted off, his thirst quenched and his escape complete, leaving the goat stranded and alone at the bottom of the well. The moral of the story: look before you leap, think before you act, and don't trust others blindly, especially when they act out of self-interest.